Scott's brother, I'm sorry. Walter Scott's brother is talking, and I guess the lawyer or somebody like that is kind of nudging him to make sure he get his lines right or something like that. You know, it's just, if you like really look at these videos and stop thinking that, you know, this is, you know, all cops are, you know, are trigger happy, you know, goons, and some of them are. Let's be real. But this is more than what you see on the surface. Like, really look at things, you know, observe all the videos, observe all the interviews, and notice how you don't really see any crying. You know, they pretty much dry face. They may force a tear out, or their eyes may water, but there's no real anguish, there's no real grief. You know, this is somebody supposedly they love. A mother lost her son, a brother lost his brother, you know, and so you don't really see that. And I have to call foul on this. I'm sorry. You know, I know certain people may not, and they want to look at, you want to believe that it's real. It just amazes me how people, you know, just eat this up. You guys are still eating it up. You guys are still eating it up. I posted what I saw on my Facebook page, and I didn't, you know, these is family and friends, and you know, I didn't get any response back, you know, and I'm pretty sure they saw it because these people are on Facebook every day, for the most part. So, you know, you kind of look at that as like, you guys don't really care, you know, you guys want to. And, you know, things like that I get frustrated about, because all I'm saying is, look, why don't you think about it, look at it with a more critical eye and let your emotions down a bit. You know, that kind of stuff frustrates me. It would, you know, when you are awake, you know, you get frustrated about people who are not awake, with people who are not awake, and you kind of just back off. You know, all right, fine. You want to stay in your little box. You want to stay in your little world. All I'm asking you for is to think a little bit more rationally. But, you know, people are so emotional. And they know how to play that. The mainstream media, they know how the mind works, propaganda, things like that. They know how the mind works. And so, you know, again, the news is something else going on behind the scenes that we really should be talking about and voicing our opinion and getting the facts straight. Like I said, the economy is in the toilet. That's something we should be thinking about. Now they want to force vaccines on adults. If vaccines were all great and all holy and all this, why are you forcing it on the people who don't want to take it? I mean, that's another thing you should be thinking about. You know, that's one issue. Like I said, geoengineering, the whole climate change debate. Yes, climate changes. You know, I think I talked about this on my my other show. Yes, there is climate change. Not denying that, but I am denying that is man-made climate change, because man, you know, there's no man-made climate change. Now, perhaps there's global warming, but even still, the practices that we're doing is not enough to destroy the Earth in a matter of 10 years or so. And even then, you know, certain, you know, these scientists are saying that, yeah, even if we do curb carbon emissions, you know, it still won't be a quick fix. So, you know, yet these people eat that up as well. You know, the science is settled. The science is not settled. The science is not settled. If it were, things would be taking place, but it's not. And they don't, you know, people, they use fear. The mainstream media and everybody, the Huffington Post, Time Magazine, they use the fear. There's key words that you should be on the lookout for, and that would invoke fear. So you have to really understand that, really understand what you're reading, and look for those key words, because this is what it's all about. When you're fearful, you're not thinking rationally. You know, so you're like a herd, and once you're in fear, they'll push you somewhere to where you don't want to be. You know, now you have to realize that people have to really open their minds up and understand that there are people who mess with your minds. It's one big mind screw. And if you don't realize that, if you don't protect your mind and defend it, then you're definitely being led to slaughter. Yeah, definitely. So again, don't trust the mainstream media or anything, because honestly, they are the culprits. They are definitely held responsible if things go down. because they know what's up. They're parroting. They're doing all these things, and they're not looking into what they should be looking into. So this is Ace of Freedom. I just wanted to talk about the Walter Scott video. I'm calling BS on it. I'm sorry. It could be real, but I highly doubt it. It looks like this is, one of those things where it's staged, just to get people in an uproar, just to get the riots going, and what's going to go on in South Carolina now, Charleston. What's going to go on now? Are we going to be civilized and protest, or are we, going to burn up some cars and crash some windows and stuff like that? Probably most of the people will be civilized, but they co-opt that too. They want to start the riots, and I'm telling you, it's one big operation, and they want to clamp down hard. And so far, the people are not doing that, but they want to clamp down hard. They want to bring in the military police force. They want to do that. If you don't see that, like I said, look into the police state. Look into Operation Mockingbird. Look into Walter Lippmann. Look into Edward Bernays. These are the people who wants to change public opinion, who wants them to think for you. Because you can't think for yourself. You have a brain, but it only reacts to stupid nonsense. TV shows and sports. But thinking critical and being aware and looking at politics and stuff, you're not even supposed to let them handle it. And this is how they think. They want you to not think, and we have to learn how to start to think more critically. And that's all I have to say. Thank you for listening.